have the discussion about whatever those things on the beach, rentals. Was that for rent? What is that for?
Oh, I saw that in the back too.
The dollars that you saw are simply a projection of the current or the past way that rentals took place at the beach, which is really just the picnic pavilions.
It's minimal.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
But I mean, we've got potentially kayak rentals, potentially those canopy, or what they rent those.
Cabana.
Thank you.
Cabana.
Cabana rentals. Because we keep talking about needing to increase revenue, but we're not seeing it showing up in our revenue projections of actually what these revenues are, so I'd
Well,
like
that's something I'd like to start with a workshop, to talk about new revenues and incentives that we really should be focused on.
We need projections and project out what they're going to be.
If I may, to speak on that, I'm working on 3 or 4 different RFPs that address beach concessions, non-motorized watercraft concessions, motorized concessions. So we'll be bringing something forward to you in RFP form to go out and seek those services, which the revenue, we just haven't identified yet, but you'll be seeing that probably in the next 90 days.
And keep in mind, though, what the city manager said was that the revenues now east of, what Steve said, east of the intercoastal
Part of the,
are part of the beach project, so that it won't be any increased revenues that we might see from any of these new projects will not help the general fund.
However, I agree with Commissioner Mulvihill, and when Mike and I walked the project, there's a lot of green space, there's a lot of other spaces that could be other rentals, other party facility, outside weddings, different things going on, and also other outsourcing of kiosks. But just like every other department in the city, there could be a payback to the city from the beach project when you actually, I mean, how cool would it be for the beach project to fund itself and have excess funds to pay back to the general fund? I mean, that can happen just like every other fund, correct?
That is correct. Obviously, first of all, you would want to build a reserve within that beach fund in order to handle unanticipated things. So, but long-term, over a number of years, it certainly is possible, if the revenues out there outpace the expenditures significantly, that contribution from that fund to the general fund could occur. Even in the plan as it exists now, there is, of course, the payback of those capital dollars from that $480,000. That's already figured in, so that's coming back regardless. The fund still works even with that.
Commissioner McCoy?
I think people can predict what I'll say, but I'll say it anyhow. I would just like to caution us as a community. I understand the eagerness and the enthusiasm for using the beach park, municipal park, as a way to generate income for the city. Obviously, we have difficult economic times, so revenue generators are things we like. But I would also caution us that this originally is zoned and was understood by the community, was donated to the community by the original landowners as a public space, a public park. And we've slid a lot on that, in that, we're very focused on the commercial aspects at this point. I will continue to be very adamant that let's make sure that if we do things that generate income, they are not pushing out simply uses of this particular parts of the space as a public amenity, as a service to our community. And I add into that the value to the community of using it as a public amenity may be much greater. That if it becomes something that people know that they can graduate in the ballroom, or they can, attend the senior citizens dance or whatever, that is a draw to moving to Lake Worth, and that is a way that it generates income more than the direct actually just, charging for everything that happens there. So it is, I think, as the city manager alluded to earlier, it is there are a variety of philosophies. But I would encourage us to recall that this started out life as a public park.
Okay,
Any
well,
other further direction from staff?
Or direction from you?
from you.
Further comments from staff?
No, ma'am.
No, our direction is to make sure that we schedule that in a special meeting in regards to discussions, and further discussions too about the pool and the ballroom.
Tomorrow, at our
Overall
And
revenue, overall
next-
revenue
our
generated.
next presentation and workshop, we're going to give you some overviews of our water utility, the local sewer, the regional sewer, the electric,